This Sunday? Show on Saturday or Sunday? Saturday.
Hello, everybody, and welcome yet again. We're still doing it. It's another episode of the Elite City Podcast. And this week, special edition because we're officially on the road to Full Gear. But, Rick, before I introduce you, I'm just not sure what day it is. You know what day it is?
Saturday. Yes.
Saturday. It's Saturday. Okay.
What I really enjoyed about that Mox promo is like an hour before Dynamite started, I texted you to be like, "Oh man, is Full Gear on Saturday? I was thinking Sunday this whole time."
Yeah. That was absolutely incredible television. Wholeheartedly the greatest moment of the night.
We'll just put it now. It was great because his whole thing was like, I don't really care. I'm being dismissive, whatever. I just want to, and then like he forgot what day, and I know that was not on purpose. Like he actually did forget what day the show was on, but it worked so well. Like if he had given like a super intense promo and then done that, it would be weird. But because his whole thing was like, I don't care, whatever, and then just whatever. What day is this? It's Sunday, Saturday. It was great.
It was so good, and you didn't hear anything on TV or anything, but in my mind, Regal, like he messed up the first time, and Regal was going Saturday. It's on Saturday.
I feel like because when MJF came out, because he said Mox said Sunday first, and then MJF came out and said Saturday like 5 times. Like when I get into the ring with you on Saturday at Full Gear, when we meet on Saturday, and then Mox immediately goes, "What day is the pay-per-view?"
That was just great.
Like someone in the back told him, just say Saturday like 10 times. Maybe he'll clue in, but nope.
It'll click in. But yes, we are officially on the road to Full Gear. I mean, it's in 2 days. This is Thursday night.
We're in gear, as they say.
Yes.
What a bad name for a pay-per-view, but while we're at it. Like, it's a really bad name for a pay-per-view.
It's an awful name.
It was like a pun for Hangman, wasn't it? Isn't that what they came, like, wasn't it like a BTE skit?
It was something like that it like was meant as a joke and it stuck, or it was like I feel like
I feel like in a BTE skit, like they were just like hanging out backstage and he's wearing his like full gear.
Oh,
his ring gear, and they made a joke being like, "Why are you in full gear?" And then somehow they decided to make that a pay-per-view. It's a really bad name.
It's the little things. Oh, it's a horrible name.
And then there's gears in the thing, but like, what is a full gear?
Yes, the actual gear itself, for the whole mechanism that it makes up.
And it is that full.
That is correct. It could be half gear. I don't know.
Yeah, it's not like it's high gear, which is a saying that we're aware of. Right. Like shift into this is full gear, which doesn't really mean anything.
I never even thought of any of that. On another level, it's bad. I mean, I knew it was bad, but I never even realized it's not even a saying.
I know.
It's like, hey, is the car in full gear? I'm not sure. Like, I don't know.
But somehow this is turning into their top pay-per-view.
Yeah. And see, that's the thing. Like, I always thought, literally until like last week, that All Out was the big one.
Right.
And everybody on the internet, like, and this isn't the internet being typical of the internet, like everyone is saying, oh, the biggest show of the year, this is their big show. Like, I never got, in my opinion, Full Gear was never their like staple show of the year, but apparently it is.
Well, it was last year. Like last year it was like the big, they had Hangman win, and it was like,
I guess too, there has only been 2 of them.
Right.
This is the 3rd. So yeah, I see it. Yeah, okay, I get it now.
Yeah, it seems like it's becoming their biggest one, but it's weird that it is, because you would think that like All Out or Double or Nothing would be their big show, but
I kind of like if this is going to be their big one. I like that it's at the end of the year.
Yeah, it's good timing.
Yeah, it leads you right into the holiday season where you don't have to worry about anything, and then they start with was it New Year's Smash last
Right.
year or something
Yeah.
like that? It's like their first special Dynamite, and like, oh, it's
it's
we're
good.
coming into a good part of the year.
Oh, Winter's Coming is in there too.
Winter's Coming is right after Full Gear before Christmas.
And then then there's a bit of a dull lull because it's like the last 2 weeks of the year don't really count, and then we move into the next year. But I do like the timing. I like that about it. It gives it a WCW Starrcade feel too. That was always in December.
Yeah. It just has that feel and that energy of a show that a lot is going to happen more than likely.
Yes.
From things that we've seen last night. So I mean, of course, it is going to be big, but we're going to see exactly what is going to happen.
And so today, what we're doing, just to clue everyone, we're just going to go through the Full Gear card. We're going to recap Dynamite in the sense that when stuff from Dynamite is relevant, we'll talk about it, but we're not going to do a match by match look at Dynamite because we're talking about a pay-per-view instead.
Yeah, and I mean, it makes the most sense because everything that happened last night is setting up Saturday anyway. So
right,
might as well do a preview and throw it all in there. So I just copied down their the AEW actual card. So I don't know if this is how the order is going to be, but this is going to be our order.
Right. And you didn't get it off the AEW website because they're not up to date.
Yeah, because it was Full Gear, the first one. Results were pending.
The AEW website says coming soon, AEW.
Yes.
We're launching this new company. Cody Rhodes, the face of the company, will be there.
Yeah, actually, it would be super tongue-in-cheek and hilarious if they would just put the under construction thing up from back in the day,
like an animated construction worker guy from a GeoCities website. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, that little thing, that was awesome. Yeah, so we're gonna give our opinions on everything, and then we're gonna try to guess the winners, and then during the show we're gonna keep score and see how little we really know, and
that's right,
kind of unvalidate our show.
Then what little respect you have for us will just immediately disappear.
Yeah, if there was any left by this time, I mean, you're 6 months in, so if there is any left, it's gone. TNT title 3-way. We learned last night. Will Hobbs threw his name in the hat, which I thought was awesome. I thought they'd done. Oh, that was poor English. Thought they did a really well job with introducing him into the match.
Yeah, and I really liked Samoa Joe. His explanation was pretty straightforward. You said you were going to take all the titles. Well, I have a title. Yeah. I don't want you to take. It was pretty straightforward. But then it was a little weird that this match is not for his title. But I mean, it can't. I get it. So that's fine. Right. My question after last night was, when does the locker room decide that they should come out and break up a fight?
That's where I was going next.
Because they don't usually do it. Hobbs attacked Wardlow after the match a couple weeks in a row, and they didn't decide. Last week, Samoa Joe attacked Wardlow, and they weren't we have to get out there. But today or yesterday, so Wednesday, they decided, we have to come out. This has to be stopped. This has gone too far.
And I even made a note of it. Has that been the first time in AEW history that the locker room has emptied?
I feel like maybe once, but I can't recall exactly when it was.
Same here. I had no recollection of it happening. So, I mean, hey, if you run a wrestling company and you can go 3 years without having that,
yeah,
that's awesome. But yeah, I agree. That was very weird. The only part that I'm going to disagree with, and I understand kind of why they did it, but it just made the whole Dark Order thing at the end was hilarious.
Yes.
Just hey, we're just going to go over here. But 10 should not have either been there, or he should have at least stared down Wardlow.
Right.
Because they made him look weak now.
Right. I could see that. Yeah.
That's the first thing I thought of. Come on, let him maybe start to get out of the ring and then stop and go and just stare down Wardlow. But they were doing that to hype the match.
Right.
I understand why they did it, but
Roosh comes out and once again tries to get him to join him.
Yes, that tries to steal his mask.
But Wardlow jumping over the ropes, that was really cool.
Oh, that was so cool. I thought the way Wardlow, like the way he came in, like you obviously knew he was going to come in from behind, but they messed with the timing.
Right.
And obviously Tony Khan knows he's a fan. So you just let him wait that 2 seconds longer and then, oh, there he is. And it was awesome.
I also really liked Pat Hobbs coming out, and they started his theme, and within a second, Hobbs was like, "Cut my music, I'm talking." Like they started the song and then cut it immediately. I thought that was fun.
Yeah, that was this. All of a sudden, again, we always talk about AEW can make you care about something in 2 seconds. I all of a sudden care about the TNT title. Have not cared about the TNT title since like June.
Yeah, they did. They had Wardlow's reign has been a bit weird. They haven't really made you care much about it.
Correct.
Part of it, he was in a bunch of tag matches, and like I know, like it's obvious why he was in the tag matches because they were building up to this. But yeah, I didn't care about the TNT title for a while, and now we do. So that's good.
Yeah. And I like how there was kind of no build for it. Like, if you have a 3-way match, like, there's always not saying that there's always a bad promo. Not saying that it is bad, but it's not as good as the other two.
Right.
And there's somebody that like, oh, well, I lost faith in them now. If you have no build like this and you have them fight last night, now I want to watch. Nobody had to say anything.
And I also like because the build is around the belt. Like,
yes.
Like Hobbs wants the belt. Wardlow said he wants all the belts. Samoa Joe is kind of just annoyed that Wardlow wants all the belts, but it's all about titles. It's not like it's not about anything else. Like it does make the belt seem more important because this is why they're all doing this.
Yeah, it's like how a real sport, like guys want the championship,
right?
So yeah, that makes perfect sense. Good point. Great point, actually. Who do you have?
I'm torn because my first thought is Wardlow because he's had kind of a disappointing reign, and I feel like he should get this would be like a big statement victory for him because it's Samoa Joe and Hobbs. Like he's going to powerbomb one of them, and it's going to be a big deal. But through the course of just our conversation, I've decided I think it's going to be Hobbs. Ooh. And I think the reason I think the reason for that is it's a 3-way. Wardlow doesn't even have to be pinned to lose. I think Hobbs could pin Samoa Joe.
Good point.
And win the title, and then Wardlow, his title reign has been slightly disappointing. He could move on to possibly the world title, and he doesn't have to lose. And I think Hobbs would be a good TNT champion.
That makes perfect sense.
I didn't expect myself to say that. I initially thought that it was going to be Wardlow for sure, but then I'm like, yeah, I think it's going to be Hobbs. Let's go a little bit off the beaten path here.
I'm gonna agree with you on that, and I'm gonna tell you why. I'm gonna write down. Just put a little above Hobbs. Just going by semantics. Obviously, Samoa Joe is not going to win it because he is going to be the face of Ring of Honor. I mean,
right.
Jericho's not even on the next Ring of Honor pay-per-views poster. It is Joe.
Right.
The television champ. I mean, still champion, but
right.
We talked about a few weeks ago why Jericho's the champion, and I get that, but I think Joe is going to be the face of Ring of Honor. And I think they just kind of have to take it away from Wardlow, and I never even thought about it being a 3-way. They could even do something like Wardlow could get himself disqualified.
I was thinking they could have Wardlow do powerbomb Samoa Joe, which no one thought he could do. Have him powerbomb Samoa Joe, and then Hobbs comes in and steals it. Like Wardlow's, worn down from powerbombing Joe, perfectly. And then Wardlow and Hobbs just comes in and pins him. I think it's going to be something like that. That still makes Wardlow look good, but Hobbs is going to take the title.
Yeah, I think it is time to just move on.
Yeah, I think so too. This has not been a great reign, and it's not been Wardlow's fault. Like I love Wardlow.
100%.
Everyone really loves Wardlow, but the reign hasn't been good. So move on.
And honestly, I don't think it's been that good. Like, I don't think it's been booked well personally, but I honestly think everybody just wanted him to beat the hell out of Max. Seriously.
Right. Yeah.
And we got that. And,
right.
And then after that, it was like, oh, okay. Well, then he got the TNT title. That was like a little bit of a bonus, but the title was kind of in transition, but nobody really cared after that. And
Yeah,
it was kind of like,
the TNT title's kind of been a mess for a while since like Sammy had it, probably.
yeah, like at least, I mean, Wardlow didn't defend it a lot, but at least the same person had it for Wardlow's
Right.
had it for a decent amount of time now too.
Right.
So yeah, I'm going with Hobbs. Are you're thinking like shenanigans is in like he's just going to steal it, like Wardlow does the work, he gets the 1 2 3, or do you think like foreign objects involved?
Maybe foreign objects involved. I think he does pin Samoa Joe. I think only because like Samoa Joe can lose and it's fine. No one's gonna like care. True. No one's gonna think Samoa Joe got think less of Samoa Joe. Like he's Samoa Joe. He can just come back next week and be mad and it'll be fine. I think he pins Samoa Joe somehow and wins the title, and then Wardlow doesn't really care about the TNT title. Like I don't think he's gonna go for revenge. I think he's just gonna move on to something else.
That would, I mean, I can see it. I mean, they're setting up the pins right now. I mean, Wardlow, Max 2.
Yeah, the only reason I think maybe that won't happen is because they're not going to have Wardlow face MJF like soon.
Oh, absolutely.
So they'll have to find a way to not have that happen right away.
True, very true. But there are options.
Yes,
there's many roads ahead.
Yes.
Now, next on the card, we have the cage match. This match to me is kind of the wild card. It can literally burn the house down, or people are like could lose interest because they saw it so many times now.
Yeah, and we haven't seen, as far as I can tell, we haven't seen Luchasaurus in like very many long singles matches, have we?
Not
like one-on-one singles matches, and this is going to be a longer match. It's a cage, Jungle Boy 100%. Can be in a longer match, but I don't know. We've seen him in a lot of long tag matches, but not really a singles match. So,
yeah, this match kind of also makes me nervous because one of them two is jumping off the cage.
Right.
Like, we're at least in agreement to that. Like,
yeah.
One of them two is jumping off of it, and it's gonna be a battle.
I think it'll be a good match, but you're right. Yeah. If any match is possibly not going to live up to its hype,
yes,
I think it could be this one, but I don't think it will. But I think it's the possibility to not live up to its hype.
Exactly. It's going to be great, but yeah, there could be the stigma on it that it might not be.
Yeah,
I know that's like playing both sides of the fence, but it's
nothing against like the match I like.
Exactly.
But like the match I like, the build I like, the feud is great. Like, but you're right, cage matches they're a little difficult too because you have to stay in the cage, right? So if a lot of your stuff is leaving the ring or even climbing up the ropes, like there's not much you can do in a cage. I like that AEW, I believe their cage matches are pinfalls, right? There's no escaping the cage.
Correct. It is a pin. So it will be a.
So I like that better. Like I like the pinfall victories better than leaving the cage.
Yes. And do you think Christian pulls a? Do you think he pulls a fast one and somehow gets involved or in the ring somehow?
Yeah, I think he does. I mean, he is injured, but I mean, even like if he gets somehow like can slide something into the cage or like cut a hole in the cage or something, I can see him doing something, getting involved somehow. I don't know how injured he is. Like if he could climb up a cage at this point, I'm assuming maybe I don't know what's wrong with his arm. But I think he does get involved.
I think he does too. Now, during the show last night, I wrote this down to specifically ask you this question. In your honest opinion, and I'm going to put you on the spot, is this Christian's best run ever?
I didn't watch him in TNA when he joined TNA, and I've heard it was good, but I didn't watch his TNA run, and I've heard that was good. But this is his best run that I've seen. Like this and WWE, I'd say it is. Like he had some good singles runs in WWE, but he got cut short a lot because it's WWE.
Yes.
But here he kind of gets to just. I don't think anyone's getting in his way. Like he's just been able to do what he wants to do and what he's good at, and he's doing a great job. Even with the injury, like he's still doing a great job.
Yeah, I mean, he is shining. I mean, it kind of like makes you mad. Like, oh, if they would have used him right, imagine an Edge and Christian feud.
Yeah, they did one, but it wasn't good.
Well, exactly. Like Edge being the baby face and Christian being the heel. My God, that would have been incredible.
Yeah, he is one of the people. Like I remember when I said this before, when he first came to AEW, the general consensus was, okay, he's good, but right? Like most people on the internet were like, yeah, he's good, but he's not. People were expecting, at the time, Bryan Danielson or whatever, but it was Christian, who's good, but he's not. But this is letting you see that no, he's actually very, very good. It's just he hasn't had a chance to do what he does, and now he has.
And it's amazing.
And I think
good.
I think this leads to, like, this feud isn't going to end. Like, whoever wins the match, the feud continues.
Oh, I agree 1,000%. And that's why I think I'm going to have the curveball here. I have Luchasaurus winning.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Okay. I can see, like, Christian. You think Christian screws him?
1,000%. I was just going to say Christian is. I was setting up to answer the question later. He's either getting in the ring or getting something in the ring or having someone or something already underneath the ring. And
yeah, I can see that. I can definitely see that, because
Jungle Boy is going to get screwed.
Because this feud has to go to, like, eventually Christian versus Jungle Boy whenever he's healthy enough to wrestle.
Yeah.
But I'm gonna say Jungle Boy Jack Perry wins.
Okay.
I'm gonna say he beats him, and then Christian does something that, like, continues the feud. Like, he's celebrating and Christian pushes him off the top of the cage or something. And, like,
that would be gnarly.
and that's how it continues. Or Jungle Boy just beats him and is like, okay, I beat him, you're next. Like, I beat him to get to you. So now I want to get to you. Yeah, but I think I can see Luchasaurus winning, but I'm gonna say Jungle Boy Jack.
There you go. Okay.
So that's where we differ. That match is gonna matter in our scoring.
Yeah, that can make or break the validity of this stupid contest. Now again, this is why I keep stressing this is the way that AEW has the card set up, and this is where I do not see this being third. But the trios tag team match, which probably going to talk about this here for a minute, because we learned last night that the Elite are coming back.
Yes.
And Death Triangle basically said, come on, come get your belts back if you want them.
I loved Pac's promo there. That was great.
So good.
Where I love him being like, "Do you think we're stupid? Like, we know that it's the Elite doing these promos, and we know that you're going to want these belts back. So just come out and say it.
Yeah,
stop it." It was great.
It was so good, because that's what a real person would say.
Right.
He wouldn't have been like, we don't know what all this is about.
Right.
No.
Yeah.
It's like, no, everybody in the room knew.
Right. And I like how they revealed it too. Like the graphic just showed the Elite. It just showed, Death Triangle versus the Elite. I like it.
And this is so, I love the way that, I mean, you can, I know we talk about this all the time, work or not, that's out of the question. We're not talking about that right now. But to get to this point, this just proves our point of, if it's real, you can still make money.
Right.
Because look at the interest.
Right.
Like, that's what the internet, again, all day, the internet has been talking about the Elite.
Now, my question to you is, do they explain anything? Did they explain where they were or why they didn't have the title, or did they just have them come back?
Next week on Dynamite, we get an explanation. At the pay-per-view, the music's going to hit. They're going to wrestle. They're going to pose at the end, or maybe not, depending on if they win or not. If they win, they'll pose in the ring and then they'll go up the ramp. But I think that's all going to be done on purpose.
Right.
Because the Elite are the opposite of that. You always see, there's always a promo. There's always backstage. It's just going to be old style wrestling.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. I agree with that.
Now, who do you have winning?
I think the Elite. I think they come back and they win. I think they come back and win. And I know that they were punished for whatever happened. So they lost the titles. And I know that it seems a little strange to, when guys come back from being punished, to just go, hey, here's your titles back. Everything's fine. Like, I get that that's a little odd. Right. But I mean, AEW wants the Elite to be Trios champions. They delayed revealing the Trios titles until Kenny was healthy enough to come back. So like, they clearly want them as their champions. And I think they're just going to go. Tony Khan does not like changing plans. Everything we've seen of Tony Khan, he doesn't like changing his plans. So I think they're just going to go. It's going to go right back to the Elite, and they're going to go to whatever they are planning on doing with them as Trios champions.
And that's what I was just going to say. Like, there could be a damn near year full of TV written on them already for this.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, this match, if none of that ever happened and we live in a perfect world, like, I would say if like the Elite would be champions coming into this match, and I would say they'd be champions going out of it too. Like,
right.
There was a long plan for them to keep those belts.
Right.
So I agree. I think they're winning the belts back.
And I think it's going to be possibly the show stealing match. This could be the match of the night.
Oh yes, if it's not the cage match, it will be this match.
Yeah.
Like, I mean,
we know what all of them can do. We know what the Lucha Bros can do. We know what the Young Bucks can do. We know what Pac and Kenny can do. Like, it would have to be something really bad would have to happen for this not to be a great match.
Yes. Now, do we see an Adam Cole? Do we see, maybe an appearance of a Hangman?
I think this is my theory. I think we see the House of Black.
Oh.
I think the Elite win, and I think the lights go out, and we get the House of Black. I don't think they do anything. I think maybe we get a promo, like we get a video or something. But
wow,
I want to see House of Black Elite.
And hey, that Malachi did say on his Twitch, before I sat down and talked to Tony Khan, I almost did something really stupid.
Yeah.
So,
and I think,
good.
I think I think he wanted to go. I think he wanted to go to WWE, and I think Buddy Matthews wanted to go to WWE, and I think Tony Khan told them no, don't. And I think that he told them, we have something for you. This is what we have for you. And I think that maybe they won't win the belts, but they're going to have a good match. A good feud.
Even like a good feud. Yeah.
Yeah.
Maybe have them win like a non-title.
Or something.
Yeah.
My thought was either the House of Black would be involved with Miro, and that's why Miro is not on TV, because like we say, Tony Khan does not like to change plans. So maybe they're waiting for the House of Black to come back to put Miro in a feud with them. But I can see this being the reward. Like, you wanted to leave, and I told you shouldn't leave, and don't worry, I'm gonna live up to my end of the deal, and you're gonna get a good main event level feud out of it.
Now see, I need to see that right now. Like,
and I know that people will get mad at that, being like, oh, the Elite got in a backstage fight and Malachi wanted to leave the company, and now you're putting them in a title match to do. Yeah, but he's also running a wrestling company that like wants people to watch the shows. So
and like, sometimes you have to keep people happy. Like,
right.
That's the thing that people don't understand. People think that a wrestling company is run like any other sort of like organization. Like, it is not.
Right, because the star, like at a regular, like an office job, no one's star power matters.
Well, first off, that too. And
no one's like, also, we have to keep Tim in sales because he's just such a huge star. Like, that rarely happens. Right. But like in wrestling, it does happen. Like, people are more popular than other people, so like you have to keep the pop. Like, no offense to someone, Fuego or someone on the lower card. But like, if there's a fight between someone in the lower card and a main eventer, like, management's going to sign with the side, unless the main event guy's done something, horribly wrong. They're going to side with the guy who's going to make them more money.
Because the guy that makes the company more money makes everybody more money.
Right.
The more eyes watching, the better. And
I mean, that's true on sports teams too. I mean, if you're top, if your quarterback or your starting quarterback or your top center or something in hockey, gets in an argument with a guy who's, a bench player, who do you think is going to stay on that team?
Right.
Right. Like if they're not going to trade the star for the guy who plays 5 minutes a night.
Right. I mean, just look in the 90s, like Marilyn Mew, he made people or broke people.
Right.
You hate to say that, but he did.
Like it is entertainment. It's like, yeah. So
yeah,
you need to make people happy sometimes.
Yeah. And it's like, why wouldn't you?
Right.
That's the other thing. It's very rare in the world that we live in that you can go to a place and work and the owner of the company physically wants everybody there to be as happy-go-lucky as him.
Right.
So, so if you do have a grievance, you're allowed to air it there. And this is where I'm just going to go off on a little tangent here. 2 minutes. I think the House of Black situation, or not the House of Black situation, let me take that back. I think the Malachi Black situation is really what kind of kicked Tony in the butt and said, hey, maybe I should be a little more transparent because, obviously he had something for them and has stuff planned out, but maybe he doesn't tell everybody. He doesn't want stuff to leak. So,
right.
Get I think Christopher Daniels, from what I've read, I don't know 100%.
Yeah, he's like head of talent relations or something.
Yeah. So, give him like, hey, make sure you go and tell so and so that, we have something for them in a couple weeks. Just stand still, keep coming to TV, but 2-3 weeks tops, their next program starting or something. Like, so I think that was his little moment. Like, okay, this could have been real bad.
Yeah. And I could see that seemed like it kind of was an issue in AEW. Like a lot of people were like, I don't know what I'm doing. Right. Like, and I do think you're right. He doesn't want stuff to leak. So he doesn't want to tell you like, this is what the big feud's going to be, but he kind of has to a little bit.
Yeah. And if somebody leaks it, I mean, if you came to me and were my boss, and I was like, hey man, here's what we're going to do. We're going to swerve the world. We're going to have you win the belt next week. I know you're not even in the picture. Trust me.
Right.
And then you go out on social media, I'm winning the belt next week. And you're like, oh, cool. You just ruined everything.
Right. Then you then you end up Lex Luger in WWF.
Yes. Yeah. Do you want to be Lex Luger? I mean, come on. But yeah. Anyways, back on track. I also have the Elite winning, and I also now want the House of Black to be involved in something.
Also because, I mean, I want that to happen. I think it's a good reward for both teams.
I agree.
But there's also not too many trios groups at the level of the Elite who could conceivably feud with them if they won the belts.
True.
Like, I think when they conceived the trios titles, they thought about, the Undisputed Elite being a team, and that's not happening anymore. They probably thought about, CM Punk and FTR being a team, and that's not happening anymore. So there's not too many teams at the. I mean, you could probably do the Pinnacle. You could probably do like Wardlow and FTR in a feud with them for a bit, and that would work.
Yeah.
But there's not very many. Like, you're not going to put the Dark Order against the Elite, and most people won't think the Dark Order is going to win. Like, you could do that match. They have a built-in storyline with them, but like they've already done it. That was the finals of the tournament, and like there's not many teams like Dante and AR Fox and Darius. Like, they had a good match, but they weren't going to win.
Oh yeah.
Like, everyone knew they weren't going to win. So if you have to put the Elite in a feud with another team where you think maybe this team could win the feud or win the belts or at least come close. And I think that's House of Black.
And I'm all on board. Next match on the card. I noticed something last night and I went back and I looked, and the AEW graphics team has been doing it for a couple weeks, and I want to see if you noticed. TBS Championship, Jade versus Nyla.
Yes.
Have you noticed that the picture they use of Nyla was just her old picture, and they totally photoshopped Like,
no, I didn't notice that. I noticed the TBS champion in quotes, but I didn't notice that they just photoshopped a belt on her. That's great.
Yeah, and it's done poorly, and I think it's on purpose.
That's great. I love that.
Like when you go look at it later, like it's obviously a different, like it's a poor quality image. Like
the belt's facing the wrong direction or something. That's great.
Yeah, it's all messed up, and it's wonderful.
I like it. I like this feud too. It's fun.
It is very fun. Did you watch the countdown show?
Yeah.
I thought Jade's promo stole the show, and it was absolutely hilarious.
Yeah.
She was like, "You mean to tell me that someone could just walk up and steal my belt and then not get it back? What kind of place is
What kind of company are you running here?"
It was so good. Because, I mean, like,
it's
legit,
true.
I mean, she has a gripe.
That doesn't work anywhere else. In the NBA, you can't just walk up and be like, "I'm the NBA champion," and just take the trophy and be like, "This is mine now."
Oh, see, no, this is funny. Like, back in the day, me and my friends would always like do this stupid thing, like, what if like real sports were like pro wrestling?
Right.
we were in high school, again, probably at the lunch table or something, and my buddies like went down this rabbit hole and did this whole thing. They were like, all right, just imagine, like, the Pens are playing, right? Dude comes down on a breakaway, just stops, rips his jersey off. It's a Flyers jersey. Just starts beating up the rest of the team. And you're like, no, why would you do that? But like, yeah, like this in pro wrestling, you can only have something like this happen.
Right, where someone just takes a title. Yeah.
Yeah, because like, again, imagine if real sports, like, a dude gets traded but doesn't tell anybody, and then it's a puck and it's the other teams. Like, no.
I do think that teams should have trades where they don't tell anybody. That would be great.
And just be like, wait, what? I didn't win the Stanley Cup.
You should immediately add that. They immediately add that to sports. Like the team comes out onto the ice or the field or whatever, and there's just some guy who was on a different team who's just with them, and he's like, "Oh, by the way, I'm on your team now." Like,
yeah,
he comes out in the middle of the game, like, just to like, "I'm on the other team now."
Trades take place at any minute.
Changes jerseys halfway through a game. Like,
that's what I was just gonna say. Yeah. He did started on the Capitals, ended up playing for the Penguins.
Right. Let's go.
Between periods.
Let's go.
Guaranteed some point in the NHL lore, like probably in like the 30s, like that happened. Like, and the dude probably had like the coolest name in the world too. It's probably like Buckshot Bill Kelly or something. Yeah, he was actually traded between the second and third period. Only guy to ever score for both teams in one game. Now all the Canadian people are like, "Oh God, why do we let Americans watch hockey?"
Ruining the integrity of this game.
That's right. Oh, Buckshot Bill definitely followed the code.
Speaking of ruining integrity, Nyla just took the belt.
Yes, yeah. Let's get back on that. Nyla just took the belt. This match, it's going to be way more serious than anybody's expecting it to be. I think it's going to be a banger.
I also really like that, speaking of making you care about stuff that we talked about earlier, if they had announced, without Nyla stealing the belt, if they had announced just like Nyla Rose in a feud with Jade, it like the match would be good. Mm-hmm. But I'd 100%, first of all, I wouldn't care as much. And second of all, I would just assume, oh yeah, Jade's going to win, because they're throwing someone in front of her because she wants to get more wins. But because they had the whole belt stealing thing and they've kind of, built her character more, I still think Jade's going to win, but it seems a little more like Nyla could win. Like they could give it to Nyla and like, it wouldn't be weird.
Yeah, no, totally. That does make sense. I was just thinking, that's why I started laughing. What if Jade won and Nyla just steals the belt again?
Yeah, what's stopping her?
Right.
It worked once.
That just have Jade sit in the ring like dumbfounded, like just looking around like, are you effing serious?
Speaking of which, when he talked about the countdown show, I love Tony Schiavone was just like, it was really smart of Nyla Rose to just steal the belt and position herself as #1 contender. And like, yeah, like why does she get to do that?
Yeah. Yeah.
Not only did she take the belt and just not give it back, but now she just gets a title match for doing that.
Yeah, because the champion has to get her belt back, so she basically has to win it back.
And like, why wouldn't everyone just do that all the time?
Right.
Like there's a in between Moxley and MJF, why doesn't Fuego just walk out and be like, I'm taking the title. I'm in the match. You want it back? You got to put me in the match.
Yeah. So okay, I think we both agree Jade's retaining.
Jade's winning. Yeah. But you're right. It's going to be much more of a big match, a banger match than we expected it to be.
Yeah, like I think it's going to be like a brawl. Like I they're going to like let the pull the gloves off per se and just let Jade get this aggression out.
Yeah, especially because wrongly I'd say that people have an impression of Jade not being a good wrestler, and I don't think that's true. I don't think she's the best wrestler. She's not, Serena Deeb or Bryan Danielson, but she's good. Like, she's very good. So
for only having 40 matches or whatever,
yeah,
she's 39.
And I think they're gonna go really hard and try their best to put on an absolute great match because people have that reputation of her. I mean, Nyla Rose isn't necessarily seen as an amazing wrestler either. Like, she's good,
right?
But her reputation isn't that she's one of the top in the division. So I think they both kind of feel like they have something to prove here, and they're gonna go all out. Oh, yes. No pun intended. They're gonna go full gear. Like, put it in full gear.
They're gonna put it in full gear. That is that needs to be a t-shirt. That's fantastic. Now, do you think, obviously, Vicky Guerrero is going to have a plan? I mean, we know this. It's
yes.
Vicky. So that will probably involve Marina Shafir.
Yes.
Does Jade have a plan other than the baddies?
Does Red Velvet come back? Like, if she's... I thought that was my first thought when you mentioned that. Like, maybe Red Velvet comes back to like step up, but because it'd be too if it's Vicky and Marina Shafir and Nyla, and then Jade and the baddies, maybe Red Velvet comes back to like, so it's 4-on-3.
That would be awesome.
And then she has to compete like for the interim baddie to like. I hope they make them fight. I hope they make them fight, and the winner gets to remain a baddie, and the other one doesn't. I really hope that's what they do.
And I hope Nyla just picks up the winner and carries her around.
My baddie now.
Yeah, it says she's a baddie. Actually, I just hope Nyla keeps ruining Jade's life. Like,
yeah, I would like. It's been funny. I would be fine with it continuing. I think it's fun.
Well, I was gonna say, going back to Jade, I don't know if she's a free agent, but I mean, Lady Frost is out there.
Okay. I don't know anything about her. I know you mentioned it, but I know nothing about her.
But it is Lady Frost. Am I getting that right? Okay.
Yeah. Really I know nothing about her though.
She's good. I
mean, obviously the unlikely but amazing situation would be Mercedes,
correct.
Sasha.
Well,
but
see,
I think that's very unlikely. But
I think it's unlikely for this match.
Yeah.
And this is nothing against the TBS title, but I'm sorry, ladies in the AEW division, but Mercedes is way, way, way above the TBS title.
Right.
I mean, it'd be awesome, but I don't think she would be down for that.
Yeah. I do think they're keeping Jade TBS champion, and I know it feels like it's been a long time. Like we've said before, Tony Khan doesn't. The theme of this, Tony Khan doesn't like to change plans. I think the plan was for Chris Statlander to beat her.
Yeah.
And I don't know how long Chris Statlander is out for, but maybe they just let Jade hold it till she can come back and let her win.
And like, why not? Because I mean, okay, Jade's been. This is like, well, this is going to be her 40th match on television. Obviously, she's wrestling all the time, but you know what I mean.
Right.
Just let her keep going. Not only does that like something you can use for her, she doesn't need anything. If she's like 45-0, like that's all you say. I mean, literally look at the Undertaker and what he would do going into WrestleMania.
Right.
Like he didn't even need an opponent.
Yeah, like there was a couple years when he didn't even show up for the build. Like he wasn't even there. They just had him be like, "Oh, the Undertaker's going to face X," and that was the feud. Like there was nothing else. That was the feud. Fine. Like that's not me bashing it. Like, yeah, go for it. Like that's when you get a streak like that, that becomes the feud. You don't need to do anything else. You just need someone to say, "I want to break the streak," and there you go, feud.
Instant.
And it's something you can't do again. Like if Jade loses,
exactly,
it's not a gimmick and it's over, right? The gimmick's done, and that's fine. Like it has to end at some point, but why not keep it for a while?
Yeah, and if that is the plan, to wait until Stat comes back, it would be awesome for it to be like an odd number.
Yeah,
like seriously, like if she ended up being like 117-0,
right? Yeah,
and then she's 117-1, like that would be awesome, because then it would like that could have really happened. Like you're not going to be undefeated till you're an even number.
Right. I mean, even Undertaker was 21-1, right? He wasn't 20-1.
Yes.
Yeah. So I like it.
Yeah. So,
I think she could just hold it, and I have no problem with her holding it. She's clearly getting better every week. She's clearly like her feuds are getting better. I think she's outgrown the baddies. I think there's a possibility that she leaves the baddies or the baddies leave her.
I agree with that too. She has really found her character. Like she knows who Jade Cargill, the wrestler, is now.
Right.
So she needs no crutches whatsoever anymore.
I could see her winning the match and winning the title, but getting the belt back, and then being like, "Well, you guys never helped me. I asked you for weeks to help me get the belt back, and you're gone."
Yeah.
Like I could just see her like firing them because like they let this happen.
Or maybe that is Vicky's plan. Maybe the baddies turn on Jade.
Okay.
And they work with Nyla.
I could see that.
Thought of that right now.
I could see that.
You know, and then they're going to come out and say, like, you know, she treated you bad. She never respected you. Come over to this side.
Okay. I like that.
It gets them apart. It gets them involved in another group.
Yeah, because they can't really stand on their own. Like they don't really have characters.
Correct.
Other than associating with Jade. Like that's their character.
Right. And, you know, obviously you get the rub with Jade, but Jade's not going to come down. You know, no disrespect to the baddies, but Jade's not going to come down and stand next to the ring on Dark and Elevation. But Vicky will.
Right.
You know, like, so you get the rub of the person, like Vicky has a name, Vicky's respected. I could totally see that.
Yeah, I could see that. That would be cool. And then Nyla would kind of have like a little stable associated with her, which would be cool too.
Yeah. Her, Marina Shafir, and the
former baddies.
Okay? Yeah, and I thought there was a third one, and I was like, wait a minute, there's only two. Vicky's.
Well, there's an interim baddie, but yes,
there is an interim baddie. But yeah, that is the first of 3 women's matches on the card too. So
I like it.
Kudos, I like it. The next match on the card is it's one of the few matches that doesn't. It's other than the cage match. Well, that's a gimmick match too. There's no gimmick. It's just a straight up wrestling match. Britt versus Saraya.
Ooh.
Yes. Now, before we get started, I noticed something on Dynamite last night.
All right.
Britt cut probably the greatest promo she has ever cut in her life.
I agree.
It was fantastic. And she said 2 things. The first thing, which honestly was the honest to God's truth. She said she went from a scared rookie just happy to be there to a woman that's face of the company.
Yes.
Thought that was a great line.
Yes.
It's totally the truth, and she does deserve to say that. Now, the second thing that she said during this, I think it was a wink and a nod to, I'm going to play conspiracy theorist here. It's a wink and a nod to CM Punk.
All right.
And it all leans into the CM Punk thing being a work, and this is
all right.
And everybody's in on it. And I quote by Britt Baker with a wink and a nod to the camera. As a leader, you get all the blame while everyone else gets to take all the credit. What happened when CM Punk went off? the world hates him right now.
Right. Okay.
Who prevailed without CM Punk and the Elite there? The entire AEW locker room.
Yeah, I could see that. Okay. Good point.
Two things that just that stuck out. I thought that was very cool for Britt.
My favorite line from her promo, and it was a very face promo, and I know people are kind of upset.
It was.
I was upset at her for giving a face promo, but I'm not, because
no, not at all.
Here's my tangent. We're not dumb.
Yeah.
People will pick who they want to cheer for and who they want to not cheer for, or who they want to boo, or who they want to not pay attention to, or whatever. Like, people are going to pick. Like, you've seen it with Cody. Like, no matter what he was, people are going to boo him. Like, but they presented him as a face, and he didn't work. Sammy, same way. They presented him, and it didn't work. Sometimes it doesn't work, right?
Totally.
So we don't need every single match. I understand that each match has to have someone you want to cheer for, because if there's two people you hate and don't want to see, the match doesn't work. Like, I agree with that.
Yeah, totally.
But I see no problem with there being a match with two people you want to cheer for, because that happens in sports, right? I mean, there's a sporting event, and not even at a home game, even at, a game that's in Pittsburgh, there's going to be some people there who like Philadelphia, who like Washington, who like Toronto. Like, that's going to happen. So we don't need to be told. And when the sporting event starts, they don't come out and say, this team is the bad guys. Like, no, they just announce both teams, and one of them gets cheered because that's the one that people like. And sometimes both of them get cheered. Like, there's players on opposing teams who you will still respect because you like them as a player or whatever.
Yes.
So I don't think we need to be told that, oh, Britt is 100% bad and Saraya is 100% good, because we're not dumb. So people were already cheering for Britt. People love the DMD thing. People like her story, like her coming up. She did come up from like who no one knew who she was, 3 years ago, and now they do. So people like her story. So I have no problem with her being face-ish in her promo. And the line that I really liked, and it worked on two levels. The line that I really liked was, yes, I've never wrestled at Madison Square Garden, but you know where I did wrestle? Daly's place.
Yeah.
I thought that was a great line, because first of all, it shot back to Saraya last week, who kind of, like I said, did say, you weren't in WWE, so you're not on my level.
Yeah. She's big leaguer, definitely.
So Britt could come out and go, well, no, I wasn't in WWE, but I did something else that was also really good. So we are on the same level. The other thing I really liked was it fit Britt's character really well, because she did wrestle in Daly's place, but she was not the star of Daly's place. I mean, Sheeta had the title the whole time, and most of the time, I don't remember exactly, but the majority of the time, Sheeta was the champion. And I love that Britt just ignores that. Like, as a character, as her own character, she decides like, no, I was the star of that time. Even though like she probably wasn't, she just, in her mind, she was. And so it's still Britt's character. Like, she didn't switch characters to become someone new to cut a face promo. Like, she's still Britt Baker, the cocky, full of herself wrestler. It just,
absolutely.
It works. It works. Like, the whole promo worked. It was the best thing she's done. And she's done a lot of good things. I think that was her best promo.
I totally agree. She knocked it out of the park.
And she is getting cheered anyway. The only place she didn't get cheered was like when she's in like Cleveland, because she wore a Penguins or a Steelers jersey. Like, that's where she gets booed. But otherwise, like, people like her. So I have no problem with her, what she did. I think it was good.
I think it was great. Now, I personally think Saraya wins the match.
I do too. It's her first match back in 5 years or whatever. Like,
yeah. I mean,
I don't see her losing.
I don't see her losing either, unless, I mean, there are some rumors going around out there.
Yes.
And again, I'm going to play conspiracy theory again.
All right.
And that is how Britt will be on Saraya's level. She will be in with Mercedes, and Mercedes comes down and whoops Saraya's ass. Britt gets the win. They're together in a group, or they're a tag team, or they're something. And
that would be amazing, and people would go nuts. I just don't know enough about her contract status to know if she could she could actually do that.
Yeah.
But otherwise, that would be amazing.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, there's a speculation she made a couple, what are they called? Patents with like the famous wrestling patent lawyer.
Right.
And they were all under basically her real name or versions of her real name and her finisher.
Yeah, if we're gonna go into that a little bit,
go ahead.
And I don't want to go into it too much because it's an AEW podcast, but
yeah,
we've talked about this, and I think you agree with me that I think she did that as like as an insurance and a
true.
Just so you know, I have options.
Totally.
I think she's negotiating still with WWE, and I think it's not probably going well because if it was going well, she'd be on TV. And I think this is her just saying, just so you know, I don't have to be Sasha Banks. I can be myself, and right. I have all these options, and I can continue wrestling. Just so you know, I'm aware of that. And I have a fallout if you're gonna, tell me I can't wrestle for you anymore. That's okay because I have options.
Yeah, and like I said to you, I think yesterday or today, it blows my mind that woman or anybody that's under contract with WWE cannot make a t-shirt with their real name on it.
Right.
How that is legal.
Yeah.
I would just do it. Like, I wouldn't even put like wrestling gimmick on it. I would literally make a shirt that just had my name on it. And
right. Yeah.
Be like,
because it's your name.
Yeah.
Unless you're John Cena and your wrestling name is your real name, like, what are they going to do?
Right. Yeah. Or seriously, what if my name was John Cena? I'm sure there's another one, and I just made a shirt that said John Cena. It's like, no, that's my name. Like,
right.
But yeah, like that just shows you how devious that corporation is. Like, sucks ass. Anyways, moving on.
I think Saraya's been a little. I mean, she hasn't been on TV. Two things. She hasn't been on TV in a wrestling role in 5 years. And when she was on TV in WWE, she was like the general manager. She wasn't like getting in feuds. She wasn't like, she was just, talking about matches like that. So being involved in feuds and being not involved, being a figure, like, an authority figure are different things. Her promos haven't all been great. She's been fine. Like, she's been okay. Like, the internet reaction to her promos is ridiculous. Cause like, it's not like she comes out there and she can't speak. Like she just fumbles over some of her words, or she talks a little too long or whatever. I honestly think that all comes down to, in WWE, they handed her something to say and said, here, you say this exact thing.
Yes. It's timed out and everything. Yeah.
And in AEW, they say, you have 3 minutes, and just send her out there. And I get that that's weird. Like, I know, like, wasn't it one of the things that Big Swole complained about was that their environment works for some people, but for people who need more guidance and it doesn't work for them. And I can totally see that. Like, not everyone who is good at wrestling, like physically wrestling, can write a 3-minute promo themselves and just deliver it.
That's
like, I know that that's true.
That's tough.
And I'm not saying she can't. I'm just saying she's never done that before. She was in WWE since she was like 19 years old or however old she was. Like, her only
absurd
TV experience is being told, this is your script, read it. And she didn't come from an indie where didn't come from ROH where she had, it was a smaller arena, but it was on TV. She still had promo time. Like, she didn't come from that. She came from completely untelevised, not being on TV at all, to scripted promos. So
that's so absurd.
So I totally get that. Like, she comes and they go, you have 5 minutes, and how do you even keep track of what 5 minutes is? Like, honestly, if you've never done it, if you've never done it before, I don't know how long I've been talking right now. Like, has it been 5 minutes? Has it been 3 minutes? I have no idea. Right. So if someone says you have 3 minutes, go out there. Like, you have to keep track of that. And I know they have a director telling you when your time's running out, but they don't stand there with a clock and show you have 48 seconds left. Right. Like, so I get why she's not had a huge success in her promos, but I also get that the internet has decided that she's the worst person in history to deliver a promo. And that's also not true. Like, she's been fine. And I'm interested in the match. Like, the last promo she gave, I had problems with it, but you're right. She had emotion and she cares and she makes you feel. And that's what entertainment is about. So she's going to do fine. I don't know how well she is physically. Like, she hasn't wrestled in 5 years. Like, maybe you're right. Like, they talk about ring rest. Like, I've never been an athlete, so I don't know. But I'm assuming if you haven't done something in 5 years and they ask you to do it, like, you might be not as good at it as you were before.
Yeah, like that's.
So I don't know how that's going to work.
Yeah, like that's my. That's the wild card. There you go. Well, just use that analogy. That's my wild card in this match. Like, obviously, she's had to be getting in some sort of ring. Like, she has to know that she can do this. Like, she's taken a bump and a suplex, and she's done all that. But until you're in that moment and you're in there, like, yeah, some of it is like riding a bike, but do you ever, like, if someone made you go in front of 20,000 people and get on a bike and ride it right now,
and you haven't been on one in years,
right? You'd probably be a little nervous. I mean, it's so.
And I mean, I listened to her on Renee's podcast, and she even said when she's 30 years old now. She said when she last wrestled, she was 25. Jeez. So, like, wrestling, for anyone who hasn't been 30 yet, there's a big difference between 25 and 30. Like, you're a different person. You're physically different. So, like, she hasn't had to wrestle as a 30-year-old before. So, like that.
Yeah, I was just gonna say she's gonna hate her life Sunday morning. She might retire again. It's like, well, I had a good run.
Right. That's how even with CM Punk, when people were like, well, he's not as good as he was before. No, he's like 43. Yeah. When he was a big deal, he was 30. That's a difference. Like, there's a big difference in there. So, like, it's hard, and you have, like, that's why people give Jericho credit, because he can do it.
Yeah, and I mean, Sting, for Christ's sakes,
right? And I mean, 30's not super old. 30's not Sting.
Yeah,
but if you haven't wrestled, last time you wrestled, you were 25 and you're young, and when you're 25, not talking about injuries, but when you're 25, you can fall down and get back up, and it's fine, right? But like, when you're 30, even if you haven't been injured, like, it's a lot different falling down and getting back up.
I totally just realized that Sting is 32 years older than Saraya.
He's more than double her age.
Yes.
Yeah. I know.
Wow, and I mean, geez, even to think about it, I mean, Darby's like about 30,
right?
So he's like,
Sting could easily be his dad.
Yeah, or his pap.
Right. Yeah.
Like, technically, well, not really. Anyways,
but that I think this match is going to be. This match is. I like that it's a women's match without. I've been talking a lot. I'm sorry.
No, dude, that's what we do.
I like that it's a women's match without a title, and it's still on pay-per-view, and I like that a lot. I like that Britt and Saraya are two of the biggest stars, not just in AEW, but like in women's wrestling today. You can knock Britt Baker all you want, but like, there are some people in WWE who are more well known in wrestling. I'm not saying any of them are known to like the outside world, but in wrestling, like, you can name, like, Becky Lynch or Charlotte, or like there's people who are more well known in wrestling than Britt Baker. But Baker, she's one of the top 10 well-known women's wrestlers in the world right now, I would say.
Absolutely.
So to have, two people like that in a match, it's a big deal, and it's going to be a big match. It has big build. The only potential issue is what we talked about, like, not even injury-wise. Like, not even are you worried about Saraya getting injured again, which is also a possibility. Just the fact that she hasn't done it in 5 years, and she hasn't done it at her age, like, the age of 30. She hasn't done it in AEW, which wrestling is different in AEW than it is in WWE. So I'm not sure how that's going to, I hope it goes well. I really do, but I don't know what's going to happen.
And it could be one of those moments where, she's nervous and the bell rings, and the next thing she knows, the match is over and she's backstage, and it was just all adrenaline and
maybe it is.
Like,
maybe it is.
Emotion took over.
She just snaps back into it, and she's where she was 5 years ago. We don't know.
Yeah, like, there totally could be that moment. I mean, some athletes retire and then come out of retirement and play on the same level or sometimes the higher levels. I mean, you never know. But until you're there, like until that bell rings, that is the biggest wild card, is how is Saraya going to perform. And it's not going to be bad. Britt can carry the match if she needs be. And Saraya is good enough that if to quote unquote carry her, you don't have to do that much.
Right. Like even if she's a step slower than she was, or if her timing's off, or like she can still have a good match. Like she's not good. She's not going to come out there and do something terrible. Like she's not going to be terrible, obviously.
Yeah. Like, I mean, there was a reason Punk's first match back was against Darby. I mean, the natural story was there, but if he got out there and he was like halfway through the match, I was like, dude, I can't move. Darby would have been like, I got it, just here, do this, that, like Darby would have did all the work. Punk could have basically just stood there. So and that's what Britt's gonna do. And of course Britt's gonna take the bumps for her, and I mean Saraya's obviously gonna get her licks in and the crowd's gonna go bananas. But
do you think, and I don't know if they will, do you think they'll do a spot where like Britt hits her in the neck and they fake that she's hurt? Not like over the top, like bring out a stretcher, but like
no. Yeah,
like she's down for a bit and she's holding her neck, and like you're like, oh, what happened?
I mean, obviously they're gonna do that. I think. I mean, they kind of have to.
Right.
Like Britt is definitely gonna work the neck.
Right.
As far as like, I don't know if the first match back we'll see like brain busters or anything, but
like she's not
future.
Like she's not gonna get kicked. She's not gonna get kicked in the back like she did when she broke her neck.
Right, and she's not gonna get like pile drivers or things like that. At least not right away.
Right.
Because eventually, I mean, I could totally see that being like, she comes back, she wins a couple matches, she loses a couple matches, and then, a lead up to a match, like somebody teases, like gets her in the position for the tombstone or a pile driver or something, and then she gets out of it, and everyone's like, "Oh, whoa! What if someone does that to her?"
Right. Or what if she has a eye surgery 10 years ago?
I can't believe they sold that for another week.
And suddenly we remember they had eye surgery 10 years ago.
Yes. And wow, that I can't believe they sold that again. We're gonna get there.
Yes, but we both say Saraya, I believe, right?
Both of us.
All right.
The next match on the card. This is going to be the least wrestling match on the card. The tag team championship match, the Acclaim versus Swerve in Our Glory. I think this is going to just turn into a cluster real fast, and I think that's because Swerve in Our Glory are going to end.
I don't think it'll be the least wrestling match, because I think the Sting Jeff Jarrett match will be the least wrestling match.
Good call.
But this will be, I don't know what to think of this, because the Acclaimed are fun. Everyone knows they are. They joke around, they do funny stuff. They had a music video, like they're fun, they're entertaining. But I mean, this
was amazing.
It was great. But they're also like, this is kind of a serious feud. I mean, they kidnapped Billy Gunn and broke his fingers with pliers or something, right? So like, there's that aspect of it too. So I don't know what kind of match this is going to be. Is this going to be like a tag team match where they do all their spots and like, or is this going to be a brawl? I don't know.
See, I don't even know if we get an actual match. Like, I think they're going to lock up and it like maybe wrestle for like maybe less than 5 minutes. But I think Swerve in Our Glory start fighting, and then like the Acclaim just kind of let them go, and then Keith Lee or someone walks away, and then the Acclaim gets the pin, and then that's it. Like,
I could see that. I could see that. The only reason I couldn't see that is because it's a pay-per-view and they're hype it up as like their third match between the two, and their first two matches were really good.
That's true. I forgot
so maybe
this is the rubber match.
Maybe they won't, but I mean, the Acclaimed are winning, right? We both say the Acclaimed are winning.
100%.
Yeah. Swerve in Our Glory is breaking up. I'm pretty like 99% sure they're break. My only question here is, do they break up on the pay-per-view, or do they get like in an argument and then officially go to blows on Dynamite? That's my only question here.
I think they go full
gear.
I think they go Full Gear. I think they go Full Gear at Full Gear. Yeah,
we're gonna make that a saying. Like it's gonna be like
100%.
go all out. We're gonna go full gear is gonna become a saying.
Full Gear.
That's right. It's gonna become a thing people say.
Watch your mouth before I go full gear on you.
There you go.
Well, see, I think we're gonna find out who was holding the camera with Swerve. I think Swerve has a plan.
Yes.
And
now you mentioned it, I think a few weeks ago. What if it's Keith Lee?
See, then if we get heel Swerve in our glory,
and this is they're just trying to like screw everyone.
Yeah. That would be awesome too.
But I don't think that's gonna happen. I think they're gonna break up.
I do think they're gonna break up, definitely.
And Swerve, like Keith Lee, nothing against Keith Lee. We've talked how much we like Keith Lee a million times. Like he's a star.
Yes, totally a star.
But Swerve is like a mega star, like a potential mega star. His match on Dynamite was great. His character work is great. He's at a level where he should be in a singles. He should be in a singles career right now.
Totally. And we say this all the time, but how do you not see that talent? I mean,
well, I think from what I heard him on Renee's podcast, and I don't want to, turn this into like a backstage whatever show.
Yeah.
But from what it seems like, him and Triple H just don't get along.
Oh well, but still,
that's what it seems like to me. Because what he was saying on Renee's podcast is, he didn't like where his career was going in NXT. He was in a stable. Not that he didn't like not. It's not that he didn't like being in the stable, but like he didn't like where the stable was going.
Okay.
And then wanted to meet with Triple H about it. He's like, I want to talk to you about, like, called him or texted him, whatever. I want to talk to you about your career. And Triple H basically said, oh, can't you talk to whoever else? Matt Bloom, I think it was, Albert A-Train. Can't you talk to him? Because he's around right now. Can't you talk to him? And he's like, no, I really think I should talk to you. I want to talk to you about some stuff. And he kind of just put him off for a while. Be like, I'm not here right now. I'm out of town. I'll get back to you next week. And then whatever. Right. Eventually Shawn Michaels sat down with them and like they watched some old tape of matches, and Shawn Michaels gave him some good advice. Like, okay, this is what we think you should be doing to like whatever. And he worked some stuff out with Shawn Michaels, but then again, he tried to get in touch with Triple H, and Triple H was just like not around. Like he just didn't want to talk to him. I don't know if he actually was busy. Maybe this was when, his heart thing was going on. Maybe this was when stuff. Yeah. Maybe this was when stuff with Vince was going on. Like maybe Stephanie was planning on retiring. She stepped away and retired and then came back. And maybe there was something else that made him not want to talk to him. But I think Swerve and Hunter they just didn't get along.
Yeah. Well.
So when the WWE started reaching back out to everyone, I feel like that's why Swerve was like, Tony Khan, just so you know.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely.
They called me.
And I'm glad he did it.
Yeah.
I'm totally glad he did it. Like,
yeah.
Good.
But like still, I don't know how you don't see that he's talented. Like we said earlier, like the stars should get special treatment. How you kind of brushed him off, I don't understand.
Yeah.
But
I mean, yeah, I would have never guessed in a million years that tag team would have been as big as they were, because I personally
Swerve in Our Glory, you mean?
Yeah, Swerve in Our Glory. Yeah. Because like I didn't follow the product.
Right.
And
I mean they weren't a team in NXT.
Like no, I knew that. But I always thought Keith Lee was the bigger star because I knew him.
Right. I agree.
And I was like, oh, okay, well, that's cool. That's why they put them together, so he gets a little of the Keith Lee rub. But then, boy, was I wrong. He didn't need it.
Right. Yeah, I agree with you. I thought Keith Lee was the bigger star too when this started.
And it just shows you how, if you're booked poorly, how you can come off. Like,
right.
So, anyways.
But yeah, the Acclaimed win. I don't know what's going to happen. I don't know what kind of match it's going to be. I don't know how they're going to break up. This is for a match that I pretty much know the winner to. We both pretty much know who's going to win.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going to happen in the actual match itself.
Same here. And also going into this next match, I don't know what's going to happen. And it is for the Ring of Honor World Title, and it's a 4-way between Bryan Danielson
and his
Chris
poor eye.
Jericho, his poor eye, versus Claudio and Sammy.
Yes.
A lot can happen here. We have a lot of ways this can go. A lot of people can be screwed.
I believe JR calls them combustible elements.
There are a lot of combustible elements in this. That is true. It rolls right off the tongue. I personally, I think Danielson's gonna win.
All right.
But there's a big but here. But if they want to bring Punk back, which me and you talked about, and make him the face of Ring of Honor, I don't know if I think more people would rather see Punk Jericho than Punk Danielson.
Yeah, I could see that.
But I think Danielson's going to take it upon himself to save Ring of Honor, or try to.
Okay.
I don't know.
I get that. Yeah, I could see that. I could see that. My thinking is threefold, maybe. Yeah. I think they want Jericho to be champion longer too. I think they haven't finished his storyline with beating other ROH guys. I think if they want to get a TV deal, I think they want him want him in ROH. So I think he's going to stay champion. If it wasn't for any of that, I would say Sammy.
Oh, wow.
Because I think it would lead to Jericho a couple weeks ago said, "Hey, Sammy, you're going to do the right thing, right? Like, you're not going to screw me. You're going to try to help me." I think Sammy would go for it. And I think Sammy will try to win for himself. And I think that's going to break them up. I think Sammy and Jericho are going to split up coming out of this.
Yeah, I definitely think that's going to happen too.
But I think Jericho wins. If it wasn't for him being the face of ROH going into a possible TV deal, I would say Sammy would win. But because I think Jericho, they want him to stay champion, I think Sammy's going to try to steal the win. Sammy's going to try to pin him, and he's going to get upset. But I think he's ultimately going to win.
Same here. Well, no, not same here. I think Sammy are going to split up for sure. But I'm going to pick Danielson.
All right.
Yeah.
But you're right. It is an unpredictable match. I don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah, because, I mean, you could say the same thing, and you could be like, oh, and Claudio's going to win.
Right. Yeah.
The TV deal, or that plays, like, I'm glad you brought that up, because that plays into this a lot. And not saying that Bryan Danielson isn't a draw. He is. Right. But when you're talking to a TV executive, they would say, but on the other show, he was Daniel Bryan.
Right.
It's different. Like, they don't understand the wrestling people don't care what your name is. They like the person.
Did you notice when was it? Once, I think it was one of the special Dynamites. They did that poster of Jericho. It was Jericho against Danielson. And they did that, AEW does those posters that they, it was the Toronto Dynamite. It was a poster that they put out, and it had Jericho on one side and it said Brian on the other side.
Yeah.
Which is technically correct. That's his first name. But why are they? Why is it not Chris Bryan? Why is it Jericho Bryan? Right. I think they were trying to capitalize on the fact that you're right. He was Daniel Bryan before, and now he's Bryan Danielson. Yeah. It's not the same, and it doesn't work as well as Chris Jericho does, because everybody who knows wrestling knows Chris Jericho as Chris Jericho.
Right.
And if you didn't watch wrestling 10 years ago, you watched wrestling 10 years ago and haven't seen it since, he's still Chris Jericho.
Right.
Whereas if you watched wrestling 10 years ago and haven't seen it since, and you'd have to explain, oh, this is Daniel Bryan, but now he's named Bryan Danielson.
Which he used to be before he was Daniel Bryan.
Right.
Like, it's this big convoluted story.
Right. And TV executives they're not wrestling fans. So the Jericho thing's easier to explain.
And it makes more sense. Like, because like exactly what you just said, like you could say, oh, so you mean somebody that watched this guy in 1997, if we said his name, they would know who he is. Yes.
Yeah.
Oh, perfect. That's all.
Yeah, because he's been Chris Jericho for the whole time. He's been Chris Jericho in ECW, WCW, WWE, like Japan. Like, he's Chris Jericho.
I mean, he's literally, there you go. He's worldwide under that name. So, but I think did Tony Khan say by the end of this year or at the beginning of next year?
I think he said like by early next year or something. Like it was not exact.
Okay, so by early next year.
I think that's what it was.
Well, okay, they wouldn't do it at this. If they would do it at any pay-per-view, they would do it next month at Final Battle or whatever it is. So I was gonna say maybe we get an announcement, but I think
they'll wait for the ROH show if they're gonna announce 100%.
Okay, so you're saying Jericho?
I'm saying Jericho.
Okay, well, we were different on that one too.
But this is another match that could be sneakily good because it's a four-way match.
It's gonna be great. Yeah,
it's a four-way match. They're usually a little awkward because you get it.
Yes,
it's hard to pay attention to four guys at once.
Yes,
but just based on the guys who are in the match, like I don't think it could possibly be a bad. Like I don't think that's possible for them to have a bad match.
I agree. I mean,
I was trying to think today when I was thinking of this match. Has Bryan Danielson, Daniel Bryan, has he ever had a bad match? Like on TV? Like I'm sure he did 20 years ago when he wrestled in a small town. But like since he's been a television wrestler.
Yeah. I mean, well, you always say, me and you could get in the ring with him and it would be a decent match.
Right.
Just go back. He made us care about, he made us care about Team Hell No.
Right. And yeah, that was like the least cool version of Kane. And he made you care about him, yeah.
And the matches were good.
Right.
I mean, Kane was able to work, obviously, but it just that should have never worked.
Right.
And it did.
Exactly. Yeah. He makes everything work. So
yes.
I don't think he can physically have a match that's not entertaining.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, it's unless he would do it on purpose.
Right. And then you look at the other.
I was going to say do it on purpose for the psychology of it, just to make himself happy.
I want to have a really boring hour-long match where we just trade wrist locks for 45 minutes. Right.
Yeah, like something that only like William Regal would enjoy.
Right.
Like him and Excalibur be like, that was the greatest match I ever saw.
This is a homage to a match that happened in 1962 in Osaka, Japan.
Yeah.
And then everyone else in the match, like Claudio, Jericho, Sammy, like they're all entertaining guys. So I can't see it going badly.
I agree. And Sammy's going to do something insane.
Yes.
And and now that you say, I think that they're going to split up. I'm wondering if he does something insane and it takes Jericho out. Doesn't necessarily like cost him the match.
Okay. Yeah, and it could be he could say it's an inadvertent thing, but is it really an inadvertent thing? Yeah, okay.
Yeah. Like, oh, what happened there? Did he not see him? But he's like blatantly drop kicks him or does a moonsault and hits him or something.
Right.
Yeah, like that's what I think. Another match on the card other than the women's match that it doesn't have any special stipulation or anything. It's just an old-fashioned wrestling match. Sting and Darby versus Jay Lethal and Jeff Jarrett.
Yes, I'm surprised
Double J himself.
I'm surprised this doesn't have a stipulation, like some weird stipulation, like a bull rope match or something like some like 70s NWA type stipulation, but it doesn't.
No, it's just I just said Sammy's going to jump off something. Sting or Double J are going to jump off of something like that. Seriously. One of them two is going to do something nuts. Nuts for like them. Like,
just to do it. Yeah, just because no one expects it. Yeah,
it's not going to be like, Sting's not going to try like moonsault off like the third balcony. But,
I mean, he might. I mean, he could. If he did, I wouldn't say it's out of the ordinary for Sting at this point. Like he's done a lot of he's done a lot of crazy stuff.
That is true. But yeah, I think the old guys are going to shine here. I really do. I think this is Darby and Jay's homage to the old school.
Yeah, and they're gonna, and they're not gonna carry them, but they're gonna make it so they don't have to wrestle too much.
Yeah, that's what. They're gonna just take a little bit of the heat off, and Double J and Sting are gonna get all the accolades in this. I think
it's gonna be fun. I mean, I understand.
It's gonna be very fun.
I understand people being like, oh, you just know there's only so much space on the card. Why are you putting Jeff Jarrett on it? I get it. Like I do understand that. Like I'm not.
Yeah.
It's not like the argument of, oh, all the ex WWE guys. Like no, like there's no argument for not putting Bryan Danielson on a card, but there's an argument for not putting Jeff Jarrett on a card. Like I get the argument,
right.
But I want to see it. I like Jeff Jarrett. I think it'll be fun. He's entertaining. Yeah. I think it'll be fun. I don't think this is going to be like a 5-star epic match, but it's going to be a fun match that's going to be interesting, and I want to see what happens.
I honestly, again, this was just me following the poster. I did not. I thought this match would have opened the show.
Right.
But they have it right before. I mean, it's the third from main event.
I can see that. I can see them putting it between two big matches as a kind of like cool down.
Yeah.
Not that they're not going to be entertaining, but like if the last match is, Sammy the 4-way match and they go crazy for 25 minutes, I could see this being like, this is going to be slower. This is going to be less intense.
Definitely.
So I could see them using it for that.
Yeah. Well, on the poster, they have it between the Ring of Honor World Title and the Women's Interim Title. So
that makes sense.
Yeah. And
how many guitars does Double J bring, and how many does he hit people with? It's like it's more than one.
It's definitely gonna be more than one guitar. Definitely.
Yeah.
Does Darby have a guitar though?
No, all right. And Darby has like an electric guitar or something. Like
he just has an axe. He put guitar strings on it.
I want to see like Satnam sing of like a really big guitar.
Like a cello, but it's like he has it like a guitar.
Yes.
It'd be amazing.
It'll be fun. I think this match will be fun. Like this isn't gonna, like I said, it's not gonna, no one's expecting, 5 stars, but it'll be fun.
I could also totally see Darby having a guitar with like thumbtacks nailed to it.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Now I really expect that to happen. Sting's gonna get hit with a guitar and like no sell it.
Oh, 1,000% he's gonna no sell the guitar, and I hope he wears it around his neck. Like, it just goes straight over, and he just doesn't even take it off.
Yes. This is a hard one to pick. I have a hard time with this one.
I think the heels go over because they're going to cheat like no tomorrow.
I would immediately think that because there's more of them, and it's Jeff Jarrett who cheats, and it's his first match here, and I would definitely think that. Sting hasn't lost.
Oh, that's true.
So that's the only reason I find it hard because Sting hasn't lost. So, like, is his first loss going to be to Jeff Jarrett? Maybe. Like, it might be. Yeah. But, I'm going to say Jeff Jarrett's team because it makes more sense. But it's a little weird. I don't know if Sting's going to lose his first match. But I'm going to go with you. I'm going to say Jeff Jarrett.
We're going both. Okay.
I'm going to say Jeff Jarrett and Jay Lethal.
Yeah, just because Satnam's gonna. I'm not Satnam. Excuse me. Sanjay is gonna have a plan. We all know that. And then, of course, the wild card, Satnam Singh, unless Darby brings somebody in. But if he would, like, I mean, I don't know who. Like, I don't know who he would align himself with, unless it'd be somebody that we totally don't know. But
right.
Then that really just wouldn't make sense.
And it's hard to have Jeff Jarrett come in and just lose.
Yeah.
Like, I know Jeff Jarrett's not CM Punk showing up. Like, he's not going to be the champion. But you don't bring him in to just lose immediately, I don't think.
Hey, I don't know, man. But I went, that's where my head went first. And then.
That's where I went first too. The only reason I questioned it is because Sting hasn't lost yet. I could easily see Sting's team winning, but I'm gonna go with Jarrett and Lethal.
Oh, okay. Well, it's gonna be. I just had fun talking about that match for 10 minutes or however long it was. So
I think it'll be fun.
Itself's gonna be totally.
It'll be fun. They'll do a lot of funny, like not funny, but like entertaining stuff.
Yeah. Oh, totally. Yeah. Like Darby's gonna be thrown off of something. There has to be thumbtack guitar. Come on, just give me thumbtack guitar.
Yeah, I think that would be really fun. I would like to see that. And not to make this any longer, but like I get people don't like Jeff Jarrett. He's not. I get it. Some people don't like Jeff Jarrett, but when I think of Jeff, I think he's great. I think he's a great wrestler. First of all, like he's had great wrestling matches with a lot of people.
Yeah,
20 years ago, granted, but still, he's had right. He's entertaining, and like he can do kind of dumbish stuff, and it works. Like he had that match with China where it was like they could only use household items, so he's using like bakeware and stuff. Like that was a dumb concept but like it worked. Like he made it work. Like he's better than people give him credit for.
He is probably one of the most underrated wrestlers, like maybe ever.
Yeah, I agree.
Because he's been world champion places and people totally forget that.
Right. Yeah, I agree.
So yeah, that's going to be a fun match. Well, moving right along, we have 2 matches on the card left. And the next one is the women's interim title, which there was some breaking news on that today that we're going to get to in a minute.
I don't know if I've heard that. All right.
Well, Toni Storm versus Jamie Hayter, and Tony had his media call today,
right?
Like the pre-Full Gear media call,
right?
And
half gear,
half gear,
right.
Low gear.
Yes,
the low gear is actually real,
so, right? It has to be not a real thing. Half gear,
half gear.
And then like small gear or something like
a quarter gear.
Exactly.
Is they asked him how he feels about Toni Storm being like how she's done as being interim champion and blah blah blah, and he says he's actually been toying with the idea of making her the undisputed champion.
All right.
And a lot of people are saying, is there like bad blood between Thunder Rosa and him? And I took that as maybe Thunder Rosa is more hurt than she was initially thought.
Yeah.
Like, he's not being mean to her.
Yeah, that's what I thought when you said that too. I know and I don't even know where this comes from. I know the internet has this idea that like Thunder Rosa has some like feud with the company or feud with the wrestlers backstage, like her and other wrestlers don't get. I don't know where any of that comes from.
Exactly.
So I don't know if it's based on anything other than the fact that like she's not on TV all the time, so people assume that the company hates her. But yeah, when you said that, I took it to mean that maybe her injury's going to keep her out longer than they expect her to be out for. And they don't want to have an interim champion for a year and a half or something, right? So
like that's totally where my head went too. Like, okay, maybe they thought like, I think they initially said it was her back or something. Maybe they thought they could fix it with physical therapy, and now she might need surgery or
right. I thought yes, they thought she'd be out 4 or 5 months, and she's going to be out a year. Yeah.
So Toni Storm can't be the interim. I'm not saying that she would be interim champion that entire time, but that title can't be interim for that long of a period.
Right. Yeah, like once it's past a few months, you can't really keep calling it an interim title.
So we will see. Maybe they will announce that at Full Gear that this could just actually be a women's title match. Excuse me.
Yes.
I liked the way they built this. I like the way they dealt with this on Dynamite. I just thought it was really cool. Toni Storm had her little match with Anna Jay, which we all knew where that was going.
Right.
And then just after the match, just kind of, holding the title up, but then Jamie Hayter's music hits. I thought that was just a really cool
and they didn't like brawl or anything. Jamie Hayter just came out just to be like, just so you know, I'm here.
That's what I was just gonna say. That was my favorite part. There was no fisticuffs. There was no back and forth talking. It was just like, okay, we'll go nose to nose. You can hold that belt up all you want, but I'm just letting you know I'm coming for you.
Yeah,
I like that. I thought that was cool.
This is another one where I find it hard to pick the winner.
See, I think it's going to be Jamie Hayter, but if this whole like Tony Khan saying that today, like I don't think they would give Jamie Hayter the interim title and then turn it into the real title.
Right.
So unless they announce something before the show.
Yeah. I mean, this is another Tony Khan doesn't like changing his mind or changing his plans because for all we could tell, before Thunder Rosa, was injured, she was probably going to lose to Toni Storm. Like that was almost certainly going to happen. So they wanted Toni Storm to be the full champion. And I feel like this might just be Tony Khan being like, well, we always wanted her to be the full-time champion. Why don't we just make her the full-time champion?
Yeah. I mean, yeah, I totally could see that. I don't know. I wish they would have said more about it.
Yeah.
It's just like a tease almost. I don't know.
I'm really torn where this is going to go because it could go multiple directions and they would all make sense.
Here.
They could have, Jamie win the title and Britt lose earlier in the night. And then Britt's going to be upset that, I lost a match and you're the champion. And she's going to feel like jealous or upset or whatever. But it could go the other way too. It could be, I think that there's a chance that Britt, not blatantly, but somehow costs Jamie the title.
I could totally see that 100% too.
I think she'll lose her match to Saraya. She'll be annoyed. She'll come out and she won't like hit Jamie with a chair or anything. But she'll be like, hey, Jamie, just so you know, I'm over here. And that'll like distract her enough that she loses.
Yeah, kind of like what I just said with Jericho and Sammy. Like kind of make it look inadvertent, but wink and a nod to the camera.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I could totally see that.
So I'm gonna go with Toni Storm because I think somehow Britt costs Jamie the match.
See, I'm sticking with my original. I'm going Jamie Hayter. So we're different on that too.
I could see Jamie Hayter winning. The internet clearly wants Jamie Hayter to win. The internet would be very mad, I think, if Toni Storm wins, especially if Britt Baker gets involved.
Right.
But I don't care. And I don't know.
Totally.
I don't know. And I don't know if Tony Khan cares. So I think he wants Toni Storm as champion and she's going to continue being champion. And I think there's going to be a Britt Baker. It also works because there's going to be a Britt Baker, Jamie Hayter feud coming out of this. And it would be another high profile women's feud that's not for a belt.
That's true too. That's true. And we're just seeing the fruits of that labor and it's working perfectly. So,
but if Jamie won, I would not be upset and B, not be that surprised. Like it also makes sense.
Right. Yeah, saying this stuff out loud now for the first time. There's a lot of unknowns on this card. It's
a good card, which is we were talking about this before we started recording. Like I don't understand.
I know.
It seems there seems to be a negative perception of this card, and I don't get it. Like I honestly don't. And I don't think that's me being like an AEW fanboy. Like I think this is a really good card. I think I think the build has been great. I think the build has been better than most of their shows.
100%.
And I think the matches are all going to be good. I know maybe it's not, banger after banger after banger where it's just like, let's take the two best guys and have them fight, and then two best girls and have them like, maybe that's the problem people have with it. But I can't see a single match on this card being bad.
No, I'm dumbfounded. Like I don't.
Is it just because people since all the Punk stuff, people have like a negative perception of AEW, so that they're just turning that, they're just assuming that the pay-per-view is gonna be bad?
Well, I mean, hey, they can think that all they want, and when they watch it, they're gonna be surprised because it's not gonna suck. I'll tell you that.
It's the same. It's the same when I feel people say, "Oh, the cards are really long." Like the cards are really long. Like the pay-per-views are all very long, and I get that by the end I'm kind of tired, but like I'm also paying money to watch this.
Yeah, so I was just gonna say, like,
I'm not gonna say, "Hey, I want to get less stuff for my money."
Yeah, like I don't get that.
And it's not like they're filling it with 30 matches and they're all 5 minutes long and none of them are any good. Like every AEW pay-per-view has been good. Everyone I've seen, like I haven't seen all of them. I've seen like the last 2 years of them though, and they've all been really good. Like I've never been disappointed. Every one of them has been great.
The only one I have not seen was All In. It's the only one I haven't seen.
I think I missed a lot of the pandemic, like the no crowd ones I didn't see.
Oh, see, I was, or wait, All Out. Which one was the very first one?
Like the non AEW one?
Yeah.
All In.
All In. Yeah,
I saw that one. I watched that one.
I never saw All In.
I missed the first. Was it the first the All Out? The last time Max and Moxley had matched together.
Oh,
I didn't see that one.
Oh, okay. That was so long ago now.
It was like deep pandemic times, like no crowd pandemic times. But anyway, this match is going to be good. This card is going to be good. Like we're talking about it, and I can't. First of all, you're right. A lot of the matches are unpredictable. I don't know who's going to win. They've all had really good builds. Even the one with the least build, the Wardlow, Samoa Joe, Hobbs thing, like that's built up good enough. And
yes,
and all the matches are going to be good. Like I can't see, other than maybe like we don't know how much ring rust Saraya has. Like other than that, I can't see
that's the
any
only
bad matches
really
on this card. Nope, I'm very confused about the reaction to it.
Yeah, we still have a match to go, and we've talked about this for 108 minutes.
Right.
So it's that's all you need to say right there. If you could talk about something for 108 minutes, it doesn't suck. Sorry.
I don't get it, and I don't think that's me being. I don't think we're like blind. I think we like AEW and we prefer the way 100%. AEW does things, but I don't think we're like blind. If anyone's listening, correct us if we're wrong. Yeah. I don't think we're blind fanboys. Like there's problems sometimes. No. Like sometimes they do things that I don't like, and we'll joke about it or we'll make fun of it or we'll say it's bad. But I don't think this card is bad. Like I think it's very good. I think it's better than the other ones they've had this year.
This is like card of the year in any wrestling company, not just AEW. This card's a banger from top to bottom.
Yeah, and it's built well. Like the storylines have all been good.
I was just gonna say, and that all makes sense. I don't get it.
And it's a good mix of like styles. Like there's a lot of like wrestlers on it. There's a lot of sports entertainment on it. There's a lot of ex-WWE guys, a lot of AEW original guys. Like I don't see the issue. And not everyone's on it. Like some guys aren't on it. Like FTR is not there, which is a little weird, but like not everyone can be on every show. So that's go
ahead.
So I can't, like you can't get mad at like one guy that you like not being on a card and therefore the whole card sucks. Like that's not reasonable.
Totally. And that's what I was just going to say when you were talking about FTR not being there. I was like, and don't forget, we're going to have surprises on this card too.
Right. Yeah.
So like, we really have no idea technically who else is going to be there. We know who is definitely going to be there, but we don't know who might be there.
Right.
So moving on to the main event, which there's a lot to unpack here, obviously. For the AEW World Title, Mox versus MJF, not MGF, MJF. This match, everything that they have done with it has been done to, I don't want to say perfection, but it's been very well handled, we'll say.
Yeah, and they've made it intriguing. Like there's a couple little twists and turns of like the firm stuff that's been interesting.
And that's an unknown right now. Are they going to show up?
Right.
Has Max pulled the wool over everybody's eyes? Is he baby face? Is he heel? This is so awesome and fun, and I don't know why people don't like it.
I'd say not even possibly. I'd say it is. It's the biggest match AEW could do right now. Mox versus MJF. Like Mox is their big face, who's their established guy, been there since the beginning, long time world champion. Max is a heel, technically, their biggest heel, a young, new, up and coming guy. This is like Mox and Punk was the biggest match they could do at the time when they had it, and Punk's not there right now. So this is the biggest match they can do right now. Totally. I'm excited for it. I think it's been built well. I think it hasn't been like, I think sometimes people get upset that like, oh, they haven't had like a bunch of brawls leading up to the match, but like, I don't think they needed to. I think that the story that they told was really good.
Oh yeah. The way that, like I said, like the nuance to this was done so well. Like I liked how leading up to it, like MJF would talk one week, then Mox would respond the next, or maybe later in the show.
Right.
Or they really were never truly together until last night.
Right. Which I really liked.
Totally. I was all in on that. man, that was a bad use of All In.
You were full gear on that.
Gear on that. Yes, I was.
And they added like so many little things, like the firm influences there. There's MJF saying everything he does has been overshadowed. There's Regal. There's like the Regal aspect of it. There's so many little things that you don't know where it's going to go.
Like
especially because we can both say Max is going to win, right? Like MJF's going to win the belt.
Totally 1000% think Max is winning the belt.
But considering that it's pretty obvious who's going to win, there's like so much possibility and so much intrigue. Like, what does Regal do? What does the firm do? Does anyone else get involved? Like, there's so many other things that could be a part of it.
Yeah, there are literally hundreds of unknowns going into this, other than the two guys that are going to be in the ring.
Right.
Anything can happen. Like the BCC could be involved.
Speaking of which, I didn't mention when we were talking about the four-way, Danielson's been coming out of the heel tunnel. Did you notice that?
Yes. But he always kind of did, though, didn't he?
I don't know if he always did. I'm not sure. Maybe he did. I find the heel and face tunnel. I don't like it. It's one thing about AEW I don't like. I won't go into it, but I don't like it.
Wow. See, I think it's great.
All right, I'll go into it. Here's my thinking. Yeah. Here's my thinking. In life, as a person, why would you classify yourself as a good guy or a bad guy?
For drama.
Because like when it's a sporting event, one team comes out on one side, one team comes out on the other side. Sure.
Yeah.
But it's not like in every match someone comes out one tunnel and it's just like this is the home team tunnel and the visiting team tunnel. Why would you pick to be a heel? You know what I mean? Like if you're a good guy and everyone's cheering for you, like if you're Sammy Guevara,
throw it all away.
Right? Like if you're Sammy Guevara and everyone's cheering for you and then they start booing you, you're like, oh, they booed me, so now I have to change in a different part of the building and like walk out a different tunnel. Like, really? It's a little weird. It's odd.
I never looked at it that way. Like, see, my suspension of disbelief, it's there.
Yeah, so I know that you have to like suspend, like to watch wrestling, you have to suspend a lot of stuff, right? But like someone like Jade is lucky that she comes up through the middle, or does she still do that? Has she started walking out the tunnel
events.
Now? Yeah, okay.
Events. Like she'll come out at the pay-per-view.
She'll come out the Cody Vader.
Vader.
But like it would be weird if Jade always came out of the heel tunnel, but now she's facing Nyla Rose, so now she comes out of the face tunnel. Like I don't know. I think it's a little weird to me.
Interesting. It's just an interesting take. See, I always thought it was cool because it was different. Like, it just differentiated, and you knew if it was your first time watching and someone explained to you, oh, good guys come out on the right, bad guys come out on the left, you would know who everybody was in every match.
Yeah, that's true. That does make it easier to follow. I agree with that.
But I mean, it still would need explained to you. Like, if me and you have never watched it before and we sat down and we were like, why the hell are there two tunnels?
And they've never explained it. Like AEW's never said that this is like the bad guy tunnel or the good guy tunnel. Yeah.
Right. So, I see that. Wow, it's weird. I just never looked at it that way.
But it is I can see the other viewpoint. Like it is like a sporting event. Like not everyone, you have a hockey game, they don't all come out of the same, like they have two different locker rooms.
Right.
So I get that.
True.
I don't know. It's not a huge thing. Like I'm not like mad at it, but I just, if I was running a wrestling company, I wouldn't have two tunnels.
Interesting.
But that's all. I don't want to.
Yeah.
No, we don't need to go into it more. But
yeah, no, I never knew that even what was the thing with you. That was interesting to me.
Yeah, I find it weird. That's the only thing. I find it weird. And you're right. Like I think Danielson has been coming out the heel tunnel a lot, or the whole time, and that makes more sense to me as someone who's like a wrestler. Because why would he just switch tunnels randomly? Right? Like, why would he decide, oh, they cheered for me that match, so I'm going to go in the other one?
Right. Yeah, like he doesn't care. He's just there to beat people up and make money. Like,
right.
Interesting thought process, though. Do you Okay, but playing both scenarios here.
Okay.
If we're all in agreement that MJF wins,
Yes.
he's obviously the crowd is going to go nuts.
Yes.
So playing both sides of the fence here, does he grab the mic and go full baby face? / after he wins, does he grab the mic and go full heel?
I think he grabs the mic and goes full baby face over the top, the most baby face you can be. Like, thank you to the crowd, thank you to my parents, thank you to everyone who's cheered for me. This means so much to me. This is the greatest moment of my life. I think he goes like completely full baby face, but then on Dynamite he's a heel. He just acts like a jerk again.
Oh, so he ends the pay-per-view.
Yeah, he ends the pay-per-view as like the over the top, like completely to the point where you're like, what is he doing? Why is he like thanking Jesus or something, right? Like he goes like way way over the top with like, this means so much to like my grandparents and whatever. Like he goes so far that you're like, that's not him. Where's that coming from? And then you get the answer on Dynamite that he was faking the whole time.
I mean, I think that's pretty much what we're going to get in a nutshell. I think he's going to build the trust. I think it's going to go a little longer, personally.
Okay.
But the trust, it's going to be shattered, and he's going to go from biggest heel to biggest babyface back to biggest heel in a time.
Yeah.
But I don't know how long they're going to go. Like, if I could guess, they're going to let it go for a minute because they definitely need I mean, especially if Mox, like, I bet you Mox goes on vacation because he had one planned.
Right.
And then the title was stripped and there was the whole tournament and blah, blah, blah. So I could see maybe a month or two Mox being gone.
Right.
And during that time, MJF just being like, not like a goody two shoes by any means, but he's going to be more baby faced than heel. Like, he might do heelish things, but he's going to talk, like you said, he's going to talk to the crowd, be part of the people. But I still think he's going to get cheered when he's a heel. So
yeah, I think he's going to get cheered as a heel really too.
Matters.
I think he's going to, just because he's mentioned another thing that could go two ways, and the subtlety of it, which I love. The greatest trick they've ever pulled was telling you the world he didn't exist thing.
Yes.
I think that could also go two ways. The way he talked about it on Dynamite, I took it as when he was saying, "I'm the devil, you haven't seen me yet because I've tricked you into thinking the devil doesn't exist." I think he's thinking,
"Oh, yeah,
I'm going to be more serious. I'm going to be more violent. I'm going to be tougher. I'm going to be stronger than you've ever seen me before," because Mox kind of pushed him aside as like, what have you ever done? You've never won anything on your own. You've always had help. You've always had a ring. You've always had Wardlow or the Firm with you. And I think Max, when he said the devil, tricked you into thinking the devil doesn't exist, he positioned it as, there's something inside of me that's going to come out and I'm going to have the best match of my life because there's this, burning inside of me that I've been pretending doesn't exist. Nice. But in the same sense, it could be like, no, I'm actually a terrible person, and I'm just pretending not to be right now because I want attention, right? Like, so that could go either way.
Totally could go either way. And the terrible person is going to come out eventually, but yeah. I don't think we get it at the pay-per-view. I could totally see doing what you do, like giving the crowd what they want at the pay-per-view, then taking it right back away at Dynamite. It's going to be interesting.
Do you think he wins clean, or is there shenanigans?
I think he wins clean. It's time to pass the torch. AEW, other than Hangman had his run. But every other AEW champion has been a champion elsewhere.
Right, like an established guy. Yeah.
Yeah. So this is very new territory. I mean, people didn't know who Max was 3 years ago.
Yeah.
So I mean, people knew Hangman. Super indie people knew Max. Like regular indie people knew Hangman.
But Hangman was already pushed near the top of the card. Like he was already competing for titles. He just wasn't winning them. But he was like an upper mid card guy versus like Max was nobody.
Yeah. Like, I mean, and Max is also 26 years old. I mean, he is basically AEW's Rock.
Right.
About how old The Rock was, wasn't he?
I think so.
He was in his mid 20s when so it's going to be interesting how they deal with it. Do you think they announce the extension? That was the other question I had for you.
I think maybe he will on Dynamite or later on be like after he wins the belt and soaks into all the goodness and happiness and love, and maybe he will then. I do think he wins clean. I'm with you. I thought he was gonna like use brass knucks or something, and as a shot at Regal. But just the way they're building him, the way they're positioning him as like the next guy, I think he's gonna win it clean.
Yeah, and that's what they don't want, because everybody knows how the internet and the pundits on the internet work. If he would win it via heel and not be like super heel, they would somehow find it tainted. So he's going to get the clean.
And
like,
yeah,
I was just going to say, like, if he did heel stuff to Moxley and then wins and the crowd cheers him anyway,
right,
like, people would be mad about that.
Right.
I don't know. So just give him the clean win.
Now, do you think, my follow-up question for you is, once he wins the title, MJF doesn't wrestle much. Like, he has a match every, so often. If he's champion, do you think that continues, or do you think he's Moxley and he's there every week now?
I think he puts the company on his back. I don't know if we will see the fruits of the late. I mean, he's going to be like Moxley, but he's going to be depending on his character, because he's always in character.
Right.
He's going to do he might not wrestle every week, but his presence will be there every week. We'll see that.
I agree with that. I don't think he'll be like I'm the fighting champion. I'm going to fight random guys every week to show how tough I am. But he's going to be there all the time. He's going to be, I agree with that.
Yeah, he will be opening and closing the show.
He'll be the face of the company. Like, even when that was the knock on Hangman's Reign, was Hangman's Reign started at the same time as Danielson and Punk and Adam Cole, and everyone showed up. So he was never the undisputed face of the company.
Correct.
Even as champion. And
it wasn't his fault.
No, not at all.
Who wouldn't have signed them, guys?
Right. But it wasn't Tony Khan's fault either, because if someone goes, hey, you can get Bryan Danielson and Adam Cole and CM Punk, he's not going to be like, well, no, I already have Adam Page. I don't need other wrestlers. Like, obviously, no, he's going to sign all of them, of course.
Right.
But I think MJF is going to be like face of the company type guy. Like, he'll be clearly the main guy for a while. And I don't think it's going to be like a JBL honky tonk man type reign where he's had it for a long time, but he never really defends it. And he kind of cheats all the time. I don't think that's the reign he's going to get. I think he's going to get, even if he's a heel, he's going to get big wins and clean wins and big matches.
Definitely. And this is his statement to the wrestling world.
Yeah.
So it's totally on board with that.
And the match itself is, I love it. I think I'm a little unsure of what's going to happen. More unsure now, because I thought Ethan Page was going to win the number one contender spot earlier in the night, because the initial plan was to have that match earlier on Full Gear. Yeah. And now they've moved it to Dynamite. So I thought Ethan Page, by the time Max won the title, we would know his first opponent is Ethan Page. and the firm would get involved somehow. But now, because we don't know who his next opponent is, I don't know if that changes the involvement of the firm. Because obviously, if Ethan Page is the next opponent, the firm might jump him after the match to soften him up for. But now we don't know. Maybe Ethan Page isn't going to be his next opponent. So what does the firm do? Does the firm get involved at all? What do you think?
Well, now that you say that, I'm just thinking, wonder if this was all part of the plan. And they're just releasing this now. Ethan Page does win, and I just flipped the script on what you said, and Max jumps Ethan Page to try to hurt him so he can soften him up for his first defense.
That's true.
That all just popped in my head as you were talking about that. So if they do it that way, I mean, that would be a good way to keep Max babyface till at least winter's coming, if they do it that way.
Because if we think it's going to be a clean win, is the firm involved at all, though? Like, did they do anything?
If they do, I think it would just be to come to fight like the BCC.
Right.
You know, maybe they'll have like all them brawling on the outside. See, again, it's the unknown. Like I could sit here and speculate all day, but then I can come up with 100 different scenarios.
Right. Like, I don't even know what kind of match this is going to be. Is this going to be like a serious one-on-one wrestling match between two guys, or is it going to be like a sports entertainment match? Will there be Regal and the BCC and the firm, and like there's a lot of involvement from? I don't know. I
think this is going to be a bloodbath. I think it's going to be a violent bloodbath.
Well, it's Moxley, so that's yeah.
Well,
that makes sense.
Yeah. Moxley, it's a bloodbath when he
Moxley shows up bleeding. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, something interesting I saw that Regal said today. I don't know if he said it today. He said it on this podcast. I saw it today. Unrelated. He says that one of the things people remember, despite all the good wrestling he did, one of the things people remember the most about him is like his comedic sketches when he was like commissioner in WWE.
Oh, yeah.
And he says Moxley's actually really funny. He's done some funny stuff in WWE, and he kind of wants him to lean into that more. But Mox is like dead set. Mox is dead set on being like the tough deathmatch guy, which I just thought was interesting.
Very interesting.
Because Mox is funny. I mean, the way he delivered that,
hilarious.
The way he delivered that, what day is the pay-per-view? Like that was unplanned and very funny.
Yeah, that was so good.
But clearly he wants to be, you know, violent, tough guy, deathmatch guy, which also works. Like it's a good character. Like
totally.
It works. I'm not knocking him for it. But it was just interesting that Regal said he should try to do both sides.
I mean, hey, it worked for Mick Foley.
It even worked for Austin. I mean, Austin by the end was a pretty funny guy.
True. That's very true.
Like not in his initial run, like he was, you know, tough guy fighting everyone, but by the end he is like the what stuff was a joke.
That is true. I wish people would stop that, by the way.
Yeah, that should have disappeared 20 years ago.
Yeah. It was funny when Austin did it.
Right.
But like if you just do it on random things, it's just dumb.
Yeah, it's
please
awful.
Make it please.
So I'm very intrigued. I really want to see this because I have no idea what's gonna happen.
I'm very intrigued myself. I have to I'm gonna order it. I haven't done that yet.
I did. I ordered it a while ago.
I was ordered in like August.
Yeah. Yeah.
Stupid fight TV or whatever it is.
It's on Saturday, just so you know, not Sunday. Yeah, Saturday.
Yes. It is on Saturday, and with the Ring of Honor one's on at a weird time.
It's like 5 o'clock or something. Yeah,
starts at 4 o'clock or something.
Yeah, it's a weird time.
Is that also a Saturday or is that a Sunday too?
I think it might be.
Is that a Sunday?
I think it's a Sunday because they're talking about football being on the same time. But I don't know when football's on.
That's why it's earlier. There's there's like 18 things on that day.
Okay. Yeah. But
anyways. Do you have anything to add to the card?
No, I think that's it. Going forward, I think our plan is to do a show early next week, right? Post Full Gear. So we're gonna have this Full Gear. We're gonna have this one pre Full Gear, and then we're gonna go back to probably a Monday, Tuesday podcast for next week. Because it's also Thanksgiving where you are. So happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you.
And happy early Thanksgiving, I guess. And we're going to do a post Full Gear one early next week. And we have a website. It is elitecitypod.wordpress.com. So all of our stuff is on there. It's easier to explain than telling you to go to some weird link tree address or something. So elitecitypod.wordpress.com. That's where you find all of our stuff. That's all I wanted to say.
And that's perfect. Gonna just take this opportunity before we go. Gonna thank you for all the technical stuff. You handle a lot of the technical side of the show. So
no problem.
Thank you very much for that. I mean, you've been killing it.
I'll be subtly editing out all the mistakes I make and leaving all of yours in to make myself look better.
I'll leave them in, dude. Thanks. That's my moneymaker.
I did purposely highlight the time you thought Johnny Gargano was going to show up on Dynamite.
Absolutely. So. That was the greatest thing ever. I mean, no embarrassment in that. It was awesome. I mean, I'll be the first to tell you that was the greatest thing ever. I was glad to be part of that.
Quick pick. What's your match of the night? Best match of the night.
Best match of the night. I gotta say, trios tag match is gonna be off the hook.
Yeah, I was thinking that too.
It's just there's too many. I mean, Pac and Omega are gonna put on a clinic.
Yeah,
and the Lucha Brothers and the Elite are just gonna be jumping off of everything.
Yeah, I agree with you. It was that of the main event for me, but I think it's gonna be the trios match.
Yeah, all in all, it's going to be fun. The show is going to be great. It's going to be solid from beginning to end. Like I said, there's so many unknowns in this company right now and in this pay-per-view that it is so fun. It's literally if I'm not watching or rewatching AEW, I'm thinking about AEW, and I haven't felt that way about a wrestling company since like 1998.
And I just want to say,
seriously,
I totally get that there was some not low, like AEW. The standard AEW set has been very high, so like the best episodes of Dynamite are incredible. So when I say low, I mean still good. Like they're not bad. But there have been some lower periods. Like in the summer, there was a lot of injuries. The Forbidden Door card. Forbidden Door was a great pay-per-view, but I get that the build was off and like it was a little awkward because of all the injuries. I get that the post All Out stuff without Punk and without the Elite, like there's been a bit of a lull. Like stuff was stop and start. Some guys were there, some guys weren't there. I get that, but like the last, I don't know, 2 months have been like a return to form for AEW, I feel. And I
totally agree.
Like we said, I'm confused as to why that's not the consensus opinion, but hey.
I'm not even going to try to argue with the internet, but
I've been enjoying it. I'm looking forward to this card much more than I look forward to a lot of the other cards. And that's not to say I didn't look forward to the other ones. I'm just looking forward to this one more.
I'm right there with you. This is it's old school wrestling. Like I hate to say that because it's new school, but this is what it is. I mean, this is what we grew up on, and this isn't fun again.
And this isn't like the trios match is going to be crazy, right? Like we know that.
Yeah.
But this isn't like oh wow, can you imagine all the absolute crazy stunts they're going to do in these matches? Like they probably won't. A lot of these matches will be wrestling matches. Like they'll be
yeah.
But the stories that go around them, the stories that can come out of this show are so good that like I'm very interested.
I mean, this is so much is ending and starting. If this is how AEW, this is their last pay-per-view of the year. So they're going to go out with a bang, but they're also going to unwrap a whole new era. I don't want to say era, a whole new chapter for the company. I mean,
there's so many places they can go, so many things they can do, so many stories that come out of it. We could have new champions. We could have it's going to be good.
Yeah. So on that note, we will put it into Full Gear right now. And we will head right into Full Gear. So thank everybody again as always. And again, it's Elite City Podcast Elite City Pod at WordPress, correct?
EliteCityPod.wordpress.com.
EliteCityPod.wordpress.com is our website. So, thank you. Go visit the website. Everything you need is right there. Please subscribe. We do need that. That's one
subscribe, rate, all those good things.
Yeah. Yeah. It helps the algorithm and helps other people see us. And
Twitter may no longer exist. So
yeah, Twitter might no longer
the engagement we get from there might completely disappear. So we'll see.
Yeah. So yes, please, if you follow us on Twitter before it explodes, find us elsewhere, because we are everywhere. So
yes,
yeah, just go to our website. You can see us there. Thank you again for everything. Let's go have fun into Full Gear, and until next week. This was, well, it wasn't necessarily the week that was. This was the preview for Full Gear. So on that note, we'll see you next week. Later.